Muslim,
Yeah, sure.
would it be acceptable if, say now...
I have to hand you back your Bible, by the way, because it's not mine.
Why not?
You know, if like a Muslim female knew with the community and the women said, okay, if they still accepted the arranged marriage, but no kind of intercourse until maybe the girl was, I don't know, 16, 15, 16.
Yeah,
is that
she's
something
physically, psychologically
that you would
mature.
kind of talk about and take into your belief system then? If the women were saying, okay, we don't feel ready until the kind of 16.
So there is, in Islam, you cannot force a woman to get married. Are you aware of that?
It's not, I don't give a monkeys about the test or whatever of that person. They have to be totally enough to be willing and able.
Kind of a big thing.
It is not about force, and certainly not at the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So dominant in the world, you know, it's kind of still, there's not that equality for women. So if women, if like he was a young man, if all the kind of Muslim females grew up and said, okay, we would like it to kind of be about 16, not following British, just that it feels right that it was 15, is that something that maybe Muslim men would take on board and accept?
So in most Muslim countries, I lived in different Muslim countries. In most Muslim countries, it's already this age. It's already 16, 17, 18.
Right.
Why? Because we apply the societal law. We see how when the women is in our society are physically, psychologically, everything mature, that we're ready to get married. Number one. Number two, we cannot force a woman to get married in Islam. The Prophet prohibited the father to force his daughter. There has to be consent. There is no...
Is there any coercion by the father?
Right? The father can refuse the one who's coming, but he cannot force the girl to get married.
Okay.
It's impossible. He cannot do that. In Islam, now we're talking about Islam. He
Yeah.
cannot force his daughter to get married to someone she doesn't want to marry.
So saying kind of anyone under the 16 probably intelligently at that age wouldn't be able to kind of make a safe decision about a male.
That's why you have the father refusing certain men and accepting certain men, because he's making the mature decision of choosing whether this man is capable to handle
they have to have
take care of his daughter.
Trust in the father, because sometimes that doesn't always work, does it? You know, trust in our parents doesn't always work.
Are you a mother?
No, I haven't been blessed with that.
But you have a mother and a father, right? Will they want anything bad for you?
Oh no, absolutely. Well, not bad for me, but some of their judgments I don't agree with in other life choices and things like that. So I guess it's that.
So do you know how you get the answer? You get the answer by basically the father choosing this man X, number X, or whatever it is, this fictional person. He chooses him to be your husband. Then you say, no, I don't like him. Then he has to look for someone else. So you have to consent as well. You have to agree as well with the choice that he makes. You get the point that I'm making. But he has the right to refuse because he is more mature. He has more life experience. He knows that you might want to marry this person, but he's not good for you. And he wants the good for you.
Do you think, because my understanding is like the arranged marriage, it's expected that companionship will grow over time.
Sorry?
Love and companionship will grow over time. If the girl is like, oh, not really sure.
No. It doesn't.
Marriage can happen here in this society.
Can I explain?
Sorry.
So let me
In
answer.
America, they get married at 12 years old.
Yeah, let me answer because we're going everywhere, like cursing everywhere, you know. So an answer to your question, basically, Islam has a system, right? One of this system, before you get married, there's a period that we call khitbah. This period is that when you meet the woman, you go to her family house, you go to a public place. When there is someone, it's not the I don't use this word because it's a Western word. Yeah, there's a completely different understanding of this word. So that's why I use this Arabic word, this Arabic specific word. So basically, this khitbah that we have is that you meet the woman. There has to be a mihram, someone who is basically closely related to her father, so nothing happens basically, they're not alone, and they can be separately talking to each other. So you can take this period, can take 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 100 years, until you actually feel you're comfortable with that person. This person, you want to get married to him, you feel a connection with him, you feel a compatibility, chemistry, whatever the word that you want to use, then you get to marry to this person. So Islam is a system. You do not say arranged marriage that today he chose this man and tomorrow she's going to marry him. No, there has to be a period of you discussing, talking with her. This is how Islam works.
Okay, and that would be acceptable.
Okay.
Is there any, if there was a young girl and he was a very old man?
I see in this society more That's what you're talking about, more than
In
an hour of time.
right, okay. But that
I
can
assume
happen.
it
But
more.
there's
No,
not so much in
It's okay. Let's focus the conversation on here. Yeah. It's all right. What was your
Yeah,
question? An old man and a young...
Yeah. That's kind of, to me, not just I know what goes on in other societies, I know what happens, but to me that feels unacceptable. How do you
So
feel it?
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If that young girl or that old man, they're both consenting, happy, do you have any obligation on them to tell them no or yes? If they're both happy, consenting?
No.
So I have the answer to your question.
Right.
So the girl has to be consenting, acceptable. The man as well. So if she is not comfortable with the person who's old, etc., things like that, she will not accept. But let me give you something. Let me give you a bit of piece of information that is not shared widely about Prophet Muhammad himself. Prophet Muhammad was 25 years old. Do you know the age of his wife? The first wife.
Oh, the first wife.
First wife.
No.
This is the problem. No one knows.
Yeah.
Everyone speaks about other wives.
Yeah.
Specifically Aisha, maybe, and maybe other wives like Safiya, but they don't speak about the first wife. The first wife that he married was Khadija. He was 25 years old. Do you know how old she was? She was 40 years old. 15 years older than him. If he wants to pick young girls, you know how many wives he married? Only one of them was young and virgin. One of them was virgin.
And I hear that
Are you aware of that?
he was the other wives that he had was to kind of take them in because of their circumstances.
Widows.
So it wasn't-
Their husband died in
Yes,
war.
yes.
They were
It was a
slaves and he freed them.
protective thing,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
they
Rather
were
than kind of
100%.
like lots of
But not
wives,
only
it was a
that, not only
protective
that, also social and political gathering between the Muslims and other tribes. So if she was a daughter of a good lineage, a tribe which was well known, a people that he wants to bring closer to Islam, so he marries the daughter. So there was different reasons. Different reasons.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something that this something that should be mentioned as well a lot. That the Quran does something very, very interesting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses Prophet Muhammad and he tells them, tell your wives, if you want this life, i.e. if you want to get divorced, you're free. You have the freedom and the choice to get divorced whenever you want. Allah gave them the choice, not Prophet Muhammad. So if these women were not happy, the second day they will leave Prophet Muhammad. But the fact that Prophet Muhammad married when he was 25 years old to a 40 years old woman, he stayed with her until she died. He never married any other wife until she died. He was 53, then he married another widow who was older, who was old. So Prophet Muhammad was not picking the young girls for himself, which is the propagated media image that they want to do. Let me use a word which is very new, which is pedophile. This word is very new. If you research the origin of this word, it didn't exist before.
No.
Because in this country, in the 1880s, as I mentioned, it was 7 years old.
Yeah,
It was the
yeah.
norm. The life expectancy was low. The women used to get mature early. They did not have all of these toys and these kind of things. Yeah, the next step for them is to get married straight away.
Yeah.
So this word pedophilia.
That's the way you
Yes.
grew up thinking and acting into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So people who study psychology, they tell you there are two types of pedophiles. There are two types of pedophiles. People who pick on young girls because they're weak, because they can pick on them. They're weak, basically. They cannot defend themselves, basically. And another type who only desires young girls. So if we have these two type of categories, we can never, according to the Western understanding of pedophilia, we can never fit Prophet Muhammad to them. Because Prophet Muhammad desired women who were older than him. He had women who were their age, who was his age as well. So he doesn't only desire young girls. And it was not because of they're weak, they're young, etc. So we cannot put this kind of definition of pedophilia.
Different worlds and a
Different world, different
understanding
100%.
and different values and
100%.
different life expectancy.
So I'll give you another example. So Safiya, which is one of the wives of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, which was from a Jewish tribe, right? Prior to marrying Prophet Muhammad when she was 12, she was 10 years old and her father married her to someone else. So it was the norm of the society at that time to marry girls at that young age. That's why you haven't seen anyone mentioning to Prophet Muhammad. They called him crazy, they called him a magician, they called him all the different things that you can imagine. They never called him, why you marrying a young girl? Because it was the norm of the society. People at that time and day and age used to do that. It was their norm. So if we say pedophilia is someone who marries a girl under 16, 17 years old, then the Brazilians are pedophiles, or the ancestors of all the European, all the ancestors, not only the king, all the ancestors, all the ancestors,
It was
all
a
the
different
ancestors,
time,
yes,
wasn't
yes,
it?
all the ancestors.
You know, and that's what we said earlier on, which is good because girls know more, they're more educated, there's a different world. So for them to turn around and say, I'm not ready, and for a father or potential husband to kind of say, okay,
So what do you
that,
think so
then
far
that's-
of this social system that I give you? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
It does make
so
sense.
can I ask you a question now?
Yeah.
Is it all right? Do you
Yeah.
believe in a higher being? Do you believe in God? Do you
I
believe...
believe in a spiritual being, yeah.
I
believe in an afterlife, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's a very good starting
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Do you believe in any religion? Do you follow any specific religion?
I am still, no, I don't follow any particular religion, and I'm kind of open to lot. I think there's a lot of good things in all religions, and of course we've got the bad as well.
We agree with that.
And I think whatever God is up there, on the other side, I think he would be receptive of people's confusion, especially in this day and age, the world that we've created. And I think just by being, believing that there's an afterlife and there's a spiritual world and there is a higher intelligence than us, I think it's enough for a God, whatever God, to say, okay, that's fine, that's an excellent starting point. And if I can live as a good
As I told you, it's an
person-
excellent starting point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay, 100%.
I think that's fine. And I wish whether Christian, Jewish, Muslim, those are the top three that always come
You
to mind.
can.
There's loads of other
Because they're
religions.
major. Because
those are the ones you
yes,
all say.
because they're
Those
major
are-
major religions.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is it.
So
This is it. If we all live
yes.
together and accept
Yes.
our differences,
Yes.
that's good.
So we believe in that. We believe in a concept of called ta'ayush. We believe in harmoniously living with
Yeah,
other people.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we would say a bit of a different thing. So what would we say as Muslims is that this person, God will excuse him 100% until a certain point. This certain point when you demonstrate to him the truth, but he still reject the truth just out of arrogance. So a person knows that this makes sense, this is the truth, this has to be from a higher being, this has to be from God, this has to be the right explanation, it cannot make sense otherwise. And then he chooses knowingly that no, I'm not going to follow. Why? Because there are multiple reasons. Could be desires, could be society, could be extra. This is the only way that actually we believe in Islam, that you will be held accountable for what you do. When the message is presented to you, right, the evidence is presented, not just the message, there has to be evidence. It has to be done eloquently. If the message is presented to you, you know it makes sense. You know it's impossible that someone would know that it has to be from God, but then you say, no, I'm not going to follow it. Why? Because I wanna do this, or I wanna do that, or does it make sense?
I understand.
Yes.
I understand.
So when you mention, for example, that different religions have truth in them, we completely agree on that. So we agree that, I'll give you an example. The Quran says we have sent to every nation a messenger. Okay, so every nation in this world had a messenger. There was a lot of previous nations before us, right? So there was a lot of messengers and a lot of messages around us.
Absolutely.
That's why you find different religions in the world today.
And it's trusting everything that was written down and passed on, and things.
Yeah, it's a bit different with Islam. I'll explain. I'll explain. But so because there was a lot of messages, a lot of messengers. Today you have a lot of people claiming that there's a lot of different religions, but you will always find this common thread. This commonality.
Yes.
This thing that is always in every religion. Don't kill, don't steal, be good, love for humanity, what you love for yourself, etc., etc. These things that are.
Good moral code.
Do you know why are there?
They are.
They're there from our Muslim perspective because this happened. Basically, when Allah, God basically, I'll tell you why we use this word Allah. Because this word is unique. It means that God is not a male or a female, which is something very important to know. Very important to know. Why would he choose a son to be, not a daughter? Why would he be a father, not a mother? Why would there be discrimination against one race, against the other? No. In Islam, we say God is above gender. He's above all of these kind of things. It does not have to be specified linked to one gender. But God is above that. God is not plural. God is just uniquely one being. The word Allah, you can only say it on the one true God. That's why we use this word. We say Allah. So when Allah sent messengers to different people, He intended only to send them to this locality. Only to this people. For example, you have Moses who sent only to the Israelites. You have Abraham who sent to his people. Noah who sent to his people. So they were for their localities. What happened is after they died, people took their messages and then some people change, add to it, take from it. That's why you have today this a bit of differences here and there, because people change in these kind of different religions. But we say there will always be.
Ignoring it, isn't
Yes.
it? And it's digging, and it's looking, and it's discussing,
Yes,
and it's
100%. But we say there will always be a pure message. Do you know why? I'll tell you why there will always be a pure message. I'll highlight to you. You believe in an intelligent God, right? That created everything, ascribed to everything a purpose. There has to be a purpose ascribed to this human race. An objective purpose. You can have a subjective purpose, obviously, but there has to be an objective purpose ascribed to all the human race. The only way you can know this purpose is by the person creating you telling you. Right? If I create a machine today, if I make a machine, let's say I'm a scientist, I design a machine right now. You'll ask me, why did you create this machine? What's the purpose? I have to tell you, right? I have to tell you. So if we're created by a higher being, by a higher thing, the one who made your bag, ascribe purpose to it. If we're made, he has to ascribe purpose to it. And because he's an intelligent being, he will not leave us without purpose. He will not leave us without guidance. He will not let us go astray. We as human beings, we need purpose. We require guidance. We require guidance. So we say there has to be a correct message somewhere. But you have to do some research. Yes, so I'll give you an example. In Judaism, this is the similarities now. I'm giving you from the Abrahamic faith. Similarities between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right? Judaism and Christianity and Islam, there is circumcision, right? There is prayer, there is fasting of some sort. Now, I'm not giving localities of the day. But if we take a deeper look into the scripture, a deeper look into what the prophets did themselves, right? So you have, for example, Moses, right? You know how Moses prayed?
How we pray.
In the Bible, now we're using the Bible as a criteria for
Do you mean as a
physical prayer.
Physical prayer?
Yeah. Because you know
he
that's a
prayed
very
like this, didn't he?
no.
he
This is
didn't.
the whole point. Not like this, not like this.
Not like this?
So
Which way did he
Moses
do
prayed
that?
specifically. This is. I'll highlight the names for you now. Moses, Aaron, Abraham, David, Jesus, Joshua. These prophets, all these prophets in the mentioned in the Bible, they prayed in one unique way, which is they're falling on their face and praying to God. Do you know why? This is the most precious part for a human being. It's your face. When you humble yourself, you put this most precious thing on the floor when you're in front of God. This is the best way you can worship a higher being. You can worship Creator, the closest that you can be with Him. So we as Muslims are the only people who pray like this. There might be a minority of Christians doing it, but this is not the norm of the way you pray, right? So only Muslims pray this way. And when Prophet Muhammad taught us,
Changed over the years, isn't it?
yes, and when Prophet Muhammad taught us how to pray, he told us how to pray. He showed us, he demonstrated to us by doing this. He told us this is how all the prophets pray. So we see here the link. There's something that is being preserved in all the messages. How to pray, this specific way. Jesus had a beard. Prophet Muhammad has a beard. He told us to keep your beard. Moses, we believe, had a beard as well. So it's something consistent. Law of circumcision, prayer, not eating pork, for example.
Do you think, and how frowned upon would you think it would be if you didn't have your beard?
Sorry?
Is how frowned upon and how would that be totally unholy to shave and to get rid of your beard? Is that something as well that you must have to go into the afterlife when you die?
Sure.
You should be. You
So,
should have
so,
a
so
beard,
in
you should-
Islam there are two types of sins, right? Major sins and minor sins. A major sin is like you're killing someone, committing adultery. So you could be.
Minor sin maybe
Yes.
is not having your beard for whatever reason.
You will see Muslims without beard, obviously, 100%.
Yeah, I do.
So
I do.
you will.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
will. So it's something that you should do. It's something which is good if you do. But if you don't, you're making a sin, right? It's like someone who's stealing, who's maybe cursing, maybe
so
lying,
many levels,
maybe
isn't
lying.
there? Yeah.
So all of these are sins. Yes, so many, 100%, 100%. That's why we require guidance.
And you know, and I must say, you know, Islam is a beautiful religion. I see so much beauty in religions, and it's that code, it's those ethics that is the most important thing to have. And hopefully, as I say, you know, if
It
there
is,
are
it is, it is. But can I ask you a question? You believe that I agree with what you're saying completely, but this is a point where I want to highlight. I believe it's a crucial point to highlight. If God did not leave us without guidance, for example, if He said all of these people are okay, maybe this person does, this person, this will only create one thing: chaos. Number one, will create chaos. Number two, will create corruption in the land. Why? Because how can you ascertain what's right and wrong if God didn't tell you?
and
You can never know what's right and what's wrong.
you're not following if not the same code, a similar code.
Objective morality, which has to come from a source other than yourself. To be objective, obviously, it has to come from a source other than yourself. So we believe without this objective message that has to be there has to be a message somewhere. There will be chaos. There will be no good and bad. Everyone will do whatever they want. So that's why we accept harmonious living, but we say there has to be absolute truth. It's just logical. There has to be absolute truth. God will not create us and then go. I'm not going to give you a message. You know? It's not going to work this way. He has to give us some sort of guidance. So the Quran, the difference between it, and this is what I want to highlight, and all the other religious scriptures, but the Quran is preserved. There is no change in the Quran. There is no letter added. There is no word added. There is nothing taken from it. The Quran is 100% preserved. So you can know this is a pure message of God. You can know that you can follow this, wholeheartedly, not worried about anything. No man added something, no one taking anything. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. So, in Islamic tradition, us preserving the Quran or preserving an old text can be through two ways, right? A written form and an oral form. Okay? So obviously we have, I think, in Yemen around a quarter of a million manuscripts with the Quran, right? And these manuscripts correlate with each other. They make one text that we have today. If this text was not true, you will find something strange in here, something missing there, right? Like you find, for example, in other religions like Christianity, Judaism, like these other religions. Yes, 66 books, 73 books. There's difference of opinion whether this is a scripture, all of the scripture, did someone add something, we have evidence that someone kept that, but we have a large number of manuscripts. But not only that, the most important point is that you have millions of people memorizing the Quran by heart. Every day reciting it. If you recite something every day, everywhere around the world, authenticating it, is it possible to add or take from it? Something being authenticated by everyone in the hearts of millions cannot be taken. You can never change anything. Even a letter, even a pronunciation of the word, you cannot change. 100%. So because we have all of these millions memorizing, we have the Quran that we have today. We authenticate it every year. The whole book we recite it from memory in Ramadan, the whole month. So it's 30 parts every day, one part. We authenticate it, so it's impossible for you to change it. Yes, 100%. You know why? Because we believe this is crucial for our afterlife. This life is just a door, a step of a door, a step of a door that you go to. So you have to know where you're going. So because we believe that this is our religion, but not only that, because the Quran itself, God intended to preserve the message. You know what? I gave you the message of all the different prophets that came throughout time, right? Prophet Muhammad, he's like them, all of them. The only difference is that he came with a universal message. For everyone, for you, for me, for him, for everyone around the world. So God had to preserve the message for everyone. Because it was not for a certain locality. You understand? So the Quran says, we have sent down in chapter 15, we have sent down the revelation, and we are going to preserve the revelation. And this is the way. But I want you to highlight this. The Quran says a very interesting verse, which I believe it's a miracle on itself. And let's see if you agree with this. So the Quran says, we have made the Quran easy for memorization, right? So this is a claim, right? I can write something now and say this is easy for memorization. I'm just making a claim, right? So what is the possibility of someone from England, someone from China, someone from India, memorizing a text, which is a 114 chapter, 6,000 verses, right? In a language that they don't speak. Reciting, all of them reciting the same thing exactly. Reciting it better than the people of their own language. It's impossible. Today you have millions doing it. Millions in Pakistan memorizing. Millions in India memorizing. Millions in Indonesia memorizing. Millions in Indonesia memorizing. And they all, if you bring one from Malaysia, one from Indonesia, one from Egypt, and we will recite the same thing. This shows the miracle of God, that this has to be from God. It's not just a statement made. Yes. It's not just a statement made, right? It's a factual thing. It's a factual thing. So now you can know that you have a pure message. The next step to do is what? You believe in God. God has to give us some sort of revelation, right? So now we have to analyze. This is a better word.
Yes,
Analyze the revelation. Analyze the different revelations. Yes. Does this revelation make sense? Does this revelation innately, we have an innate disposition. We as Muslims, we believe, we have an innate disposition to know what's right and what's wrong. We have an innate, vaguely obviously, not 100%. We have an innate disposition to know that there is a higher being, to know that someone created us. There's a power beyond us, So this innate disposition will correlate. If I tell you a God is a cow, you will tell me no. I do not feel God can never be a cow, right? He can never be something which cannot even defend itself. They alone create all of us, right? So we have to use our rationality, our intellect. So we look at the religions that make different claims. For example, Hinduism making a claim that there are 330 million gods. Is that possible? Do you think it's possible? I'll give you an example. If there is two gods, obviously we're not gods, we're nothing, But let's assume, no, we are nothing. But if we are two gods, right, and I want you to die, he wants you to live, right? So we have three possibilities. You die, you live, nothing happens to you. If you die, there is only one true God. If you live, there is only one true God. If nothing happens to you, how can we be gods who could not even affect our own creation? I want you to imagine, this is what the Quran says. I want you to imagine 350 million gods. Imagine the world. It cannot happen. It's impossible. Two people cannot drive a car, right? So we set aside a religion that says something like this, and it says that a tree is a god, you're a god, I'm a god. They say that literally. So we set aside. It cannot happen. It doesn't make sense. Yes, there has to be a higher being, one higher being.
That's probably our higher being
Yes.
as well as one.
100%. Something beyond us.
A consciousness, like a
You know, I'll tell you something. You tell me whether it makes sense or not. The Quran says in chapter 112, description of God, right? Allah is uniquely one, self-sufficient, independent. Everything depends upon Him. He doesn't depend on anyone. He neither beget nor He's begotten. He doesn't have sons and daughters and mothers and fathers. He's not like us. He's above us. And there is nothing like unto Him. There is nothing equivalent to Him. How do you describe it? Does it make sense to you?
yeah, I feel that it would have to be that way.
He's not a man, he's not a woman. It's instantly correlated with your disposition, right? This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to see whether it will correlate with our disposition or not.
Yeah. I think most people would think, or more people with a spiritual belief.
Do you know why they would think that?
Why they would think it?
Because God created them this way. You understand? They created them with a pure disposition to know these kinds of things. So when we discovered a new island in the Amazon, for example, they believed in one higher being, not a man, not a woman, above the heavens, cannot be seen. They believed every act they do is for the sake of God, which Muslims believe. They believe everyone is responsible for his own sin, which is against Christianity totally, because they believe that someone took all the sins of the world. Why would someone be punished for what I do? Right? It's not fair. How can you say God is just and someone else is punished for what I did?
It's a big question, that is, isn't it?
It's a huge question. You know?
I will sit and I will
Yeah.
some more.
Yeah,
We shake.
No, we
You
as
can't-
Muslims,
I was
I'll tell you
sure,
why.
I
Yeah,
was sure.
we as Muslims, we believe that women are precious beings, right? Every woman is a queen to us. This queen of this country does not shake a hand with every Tom, Dick and Harry walking on the street, you know? There's only 5 people, royal people, you know?
wondered whether you
Royal
could or
people,
not.
yes. So we as Muslims,
Yeah.
if my sister is here, she cannot shake a hand with a man she doesn't know, and vice versa. So it's not a gender thing, but it's someone who's not lawful to you. You can touch the hand of your wife, obviously. It can be a marriage contract, then you touch the hand of your wife. You can touch the hand of your sister, the closely related people to you, you can do that. But I want you to think about this. There is gold, there is pearls, there is jewelries, right? All of these kind of things, for you to get them, what do you have to do? You have to dig deep inside. You have to go dive inside the ocean to get the pearls. You have to dig deep inside the mountain to find the gold, right? So all of these kind of things are always covered. It's not easily accessible. We believe women are more precious than that. So not everyone just touches a woman, does this with a woman. No, it has to be a respectful marriage bond relationship. And this stops what? This stops using and abusing women, objectifying women as objects, as happening in the society.
They're thinking to stop that now here in the UK, is in workplaces. They're thinking to stop women shaking hands. Men.
No, this is happening. Have you heard of
Keanu Reeves,
Keanu Reeves?
the Matrix guy.
You know, he stopped doing that and they keep praising him. But when Muslims don't do that, you know what they say? Oh, look at this guy, so backward. They believe they shouldn't touch him, but Keanu Reeves is doing that. This highlights sort of hypocrisy in the society. It's you can have a relationship with a woman, but don't use her and abuse her. If you allow a man to touch a woman, why is it only a hand touch? Why was it stop there? Touching is touching, right? It can be here. So Islam stops touching, not handshaking specifically. Touching another woman which is not lawful to you. You understand?
Yeah, like a stranger, someone who's
Yes,
not
100%.
If I was your sister and I knew him as your friend, is that acceptable? I
No,
shake his
still
hand?
not.
Still
Still
not.
not. Still not. Only if you're related to him, you're his wife or you're his. This is how you can actually.
Kind of a
Yes. But not only that, it stops what we have in the society. Because God set the system. He knows the nature of a man and woman. Look, there is always this physical, there's always this physical feeling that you will have in skins touching. That's why when you see a movie, they're sitting on a dinner, what do they start doing? They start holding your hand. Why?
Yeah.
Why? If there is nothing physical there, you know he will not be doing this, you understand? But this initiates a physical connection, yes. A physical connection between the two people. So we believe this should be done with a person who's lawful to you, not just a stranger. We don't know why. Making the woman as a precious being and the man as a precious being. He's lawful to the person who's lawful to her and otherwise. This is how we hold women in our Islamic civilization and society. And that's why women choose to wear head covering as well. So veil covering is not obligatory, but head covering is.
Yes, yes. And I must say, I wish, and I totally, I love the scarf and the hair, and I understand top to toe. I can't, I really wish we would.
I'll tell you something.
I really wish you would, because it's
You know,
not, that's
you were telling me, does anyone have a Quran? Does anyone have a Quran? You were telling me something which is very,
Yeah,
which is
and I'd be honest
I'll tell
about it, honestly,
you told me, I wish that I can do this. I wish that I can become Muslim. I wish, right? The Quran already speaks about that. He speaks about you. He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in chapter 2, those who disbelieve will wish that they will have become Muslim. What's stopping you today? What's stopping you from taking the step?
I'm exploring. I'm still exploring. I am still exploring.
Yeah, so I have to give you obviously a Quran.
So
I'll give you. Do you have a Quran? Have you read the Quran before?
I've picked up a Quran. I must admit, I've not sat and read it.
Okay.
No, but I have access to Quran. I do.
Do you have one right now?
No.
Would you like me to present one for you?
No, because I wouldn't want to take it and lose it. I'm going in there.
Okay.
I'm going in there. I'm going to have to
Okay.
travel home.
That's all right.
Yeah. But that's something, Buddhism as well. I think is interesting.
Okay.
Religion
I'll give you
as
something.
well.
I'll give you a step. I'll give you a step ahead. Right? Let's start with the major religions. Because look, this guidance cannot be in a minor religion. God cannot give us a guidance in a minor religion. We will spend our whole life finding and we cannot. It has to be well known, something easy, accessible. Right? So let's deal with the major religions easily. We dealt with Christianity, I believe. God cannot be a man. Why? Because God is an infinite being. Right? Can you fit a sea into a bottle? Never. God is an infinite being. Just as God cannot lie, cease to exist, He cannot do something against His nature by becoming less than He is. Becoming ignorant, independent, going to the bathroom, doing all of these kind of things. It makes Him unholy. He cannot do that. God cannot become a man. So we'll set aside Christianity. We have Judaism. Do you know how to become a Jew? You have to be born a Jew. You have to be from a chosen people of God. So is it reasonable to say that God is just but He's a racist? He chose a certain people and He did not choose you?
That's a bit exclusive, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, it does not work, So we say, that's why you don't see Jewish people here inviting you to Judaism. Have you ever seen someone sitting in the street inviting you? Some of them, they say, when you ask them, they say it's a long process. Some of them, they tell you the process is a 7-year process of them monitoring you, and then they will decide. They're the gods now. Maybe you can be a Jew, maybe you cannot be a Jew. How can that happen? You know? So we will take Judaism. Buddhism you mentioned. You know why Buddhism is interesting? You can be a Muslim Buddhist. Buddhism is a philosophy. It does not believe in a higher being. You know that? They don't believe in God. They don't believe. It's not a religion. It's a philosophy.
It's a philosophy. It's a way
Yes,
of life.
it's just a philosophy. It's not even a way of life. It's just a philosophy of Buddha that teaches two things, mainly two things: selfishness. Don't be selfish. Lose yourself and lose your desires, which Islam teaches. That's why I'm telling you, you can be a Muslim Buddhist. You know. So we have Buddhism. We have Sikhism. Sikhism is a cop-up. It's a part of Islam and a part of Hinduism. So the Guru Nana, he did pilgrimage, right? People ask him, you're confusing us. Are you a Muslim? You're a Hindu? What are you? He said, I'm both. So he took this part that he likes, then he made Sikhism. But Sikhism even says everyone is right. So if Sikhism says everyone is right, it cannot happen. You know why? If I say someone who says God is a man is right, someone who says God can never be a man is right, it's a contradiction. You cannot say that everyone is right? There has to be someone right or someone wrong or both wrong. 100%. God is something else, you know? So there has to be someone who's right, someone is wrong. So Sikhism, this is Sikhism. What else do we have? This is the major. Hinduism we discussed already, right? The 330 million gods, cow being God. We already discussed that. So it's a clear way to go. It's not a hard way to go. Islam is the only religion that believes in a one higher being. Self-sufficient, independent, doesn't get tired, doesn't feel weak, above all of this creation. He connects with us, He loves us, He gives us guidance. Islam is the only one that gives you this complete picture, that relates with you straight, 100%. You don't worship men, you don't worship idols, you don't worship nothing. You worship the one who created all of this. You know? But not only that, let me tell you a few things. Prophet Muhammad existed around 1400 years ago, right? He lived around 1400 years ago, right? But Prophet Muhammad predicted the future that we're living in today. Is it possible for a human being to know what's happening? Is it every time being right? Every time he doesn't. Impossible. It can be sometime right, sometime guesswork, obviously, sometime right, sometime wrong, all wrong. But all right is impossible. Prophet Muhammad did that. You know why? As a proof that he's coming from higher being. So he's not just making a claim that he's a prophet of God. Because Jesus, Moses, Noah, Abraham, all of these people had a miracle as well, but it was an empirical one. Why? Because they were for their people, for their localities. They were not for everyone. But Prophet Muhammad was for everyone, so he had to bring an evidence base, a message that is for everyone. That the evidence that you can analyze today and you can come to the conclusion that he's a prophet. No. He has to be a prophet of God. He can't be otherwise. I'll give you some examples. So, Quran is a very unique book. It's the most unique book that you will ever put your hands on, obviously, because we believe it's literally the word of God. So Quran is the word of God coming to Prophet Muhammad by an angel. He could not read or write. He recited the Quran. His companions memorized it and wrote it down as well. They did the two. They memorized it and they wrote it down. So Prophet Muhammad, there's two types of text in the Quran. The Quran in Islam, the Quran and the prophetic narrations, what the Prophet said, which is not the word of God, his words, but of things that is going to happen, or teachings to us as human beings coming from a higher being. Okay? So the Quran, being a unique book, correlates with the science of everyday and age. Correlates with it.
I believe science can exist alongside.
100%.
Of course.
Do you see in Andalus and in the Islamic, in Spain, when we had the Islamic Empire, why do you think they thrived so much? Why do you think they developed the scientific method? Because Islam allows them to do that. The Quran allowed them to do that. That's why you have stars today named after Arabic people, you know? Because of that. Because of that. Because of Islam. So what we say is, but this is not the unique thing. The unique that is the Quran mentions things that we just learned today. Gives you a specific description of embryology that correlates with today's science. Science changes every day, but even when it changes, it always correlates with the Quran. Because science is not one thing that is steady, right? It changes every day. So even though it changes every day, it correlates with the Quran. The Quran gives you a specific description of embryology. Is it possible for Prophet Muhammad to know that 1500 years ago? He didn't have a telescope, microscope, he didn't have any equipment to look. He was living in the deserts of Arabia. He cannot know. The only way he can know is through divine intervention. You know, the earth being round, all of these kind of things that you may say are facts of today, the Quran correlates with. The Quran says when two seas meet, there is a barrier between them. They don't mix. They have different density. They have different salinity. Who gave him this information? He lives in the desert. How can he know that? Well, not only that, Prophet Muhammad predicted the future that we're living in today. And this is what I want to have. He said there will come a time where the Bedouin, barefoot Arab men will be competing in tall buildings. Where is the tallest building in the world today?
What is
Tallest building in the world.
the tallest building in the world? Yeah, it is in the
Dubai.
Emirates, isn't it? Yeah, Dubai.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know who's competing with them? Saudi Arabia is competing with this year. This year, actually, they're competing with it. Is it possible for a man 1500 years ago to make a statement that these Bedouin Arabs will be competing in the tallest buildings of the world that is happening today?
That is a heck of a thing to know.
Well, not only that,
Yeah.
we don't stop there. You know? He said, the time will come close, near the hour or the last day, the day of judgment. The time will come close, and a year will feel like a month will feel like a week will feel like a day, and a day will feel like an hour, and an hour will feel like a burning leaf. You have a leaf and you burn it. That's an hour. Today you pick up your phone, 2 o'clock, you leave your phone. It's already 11 o'clock. You know, time flies because of technology. But not only that, even the time in travel distance. It used to take months to go to somewhere else. Now it's 2 hours in a plane. How can you know that? Prophet Muhammad made predictions of the countries that will become Muslim by name. He named Egypt that Egypt will become Muslim, Jordan will become Muslim, Syria will become Muslim, Constantinople, present-day Turkey, India, Pakistan, Islam will spread there. He said Islam will spread to the east and the west. But when he was doing that, he had 30 followers being prosecuted in Mecca. So an atheist historian, he says, this is the other thing that I'm going to tell you. An atheist historian, he said, this is paramount to an Eskimo. He has some Eskimos around him, and he's telling them, look guys, we're going to conquer Russia and USA. Is that even possible? Some 30 Eskimos living in the Eskimo conquering USA and America. It's impossible. Prophet Muhammad was telling them, you will overcome the two biggest empires, the Roman and the Persian Empire. But not only that, he named the name of the Persian king and the Roman king, that they will be the last Roman and Persian king. He said Kisra and Qaisar, they will be the last Roman and Persian kings. He predicted that his daughter is going to be the first one to die after her. And she did. He predicted that 2 of his companions are being killed by treachery. Even though they had millions of followers, they could, obviously not millions, a lot of followers, that they could have been killed in war. But no, they were killed by treachery, like the Prophet said. Not only that, Prophet Muhammad makes predictions which are paradoxical. You know, if you're lucky guessing, you will not make two statements against each other, you know? Why is that the probability of two statements against each other occurring? I'll give you some examples. Prophet Muhammad said, the pen will prevail, writing will spread, widespread, which is today you just open your phone, you know? It's a prediction in itself, but not only that. He said that ignorance will spread. And this is a paradox, because if writing spreads, people will be educated. Today it's easy that we have a lot of accessibility. At that time when they had literature, they used to value it, read it. If someone has literature, he's a well-learned person. So he said that writing will spread, but people will become ignorant, which we have today. It's a paradoxical prediction. Well, not only that, he said that, I want you to highlight this one. He said that nations will gather upon you to prosecute you. That's happening today that we see. But the companion asked a very logical question. He said, will we be few in number? Because we're few, we're a minority, we're being prosecuted. He said, no, we'll be like the sea. So we will be a majority, a paradox. We will be a majority but be persecuted. Today, Muslims are a quarter of the world. From every 4 people you meet is 1 Muslim. Why? Because they know this is coming from Harbin. There's evidence. You see? So he made a paradoxical prediction. But not only that, he made another one. He said that Islam will spread to every house, but immorality will spread. Why do you think this is a paradoxical prediction? Because Islam teaches morality. And if Islam spreads, morality will spread. But he said no. Islam will spread and immorality will spread. People will be mating like dogs in the street. Do we see that? We see that today. But not only that, he said when people do that, this is what I want you to highlight, they will have diseases in their ancestors that they never heard of. AIDS, herpes, 13 serious diseases that you get today from homosexuality, penetration. These things did not exist before.
Didn't exist.
So I want you to imagine, could he have known this knowledge 1400 years ago? It's too what? He has to be getting it from a divine knowledge. He has to be a prophet of God. He has to be from this higher being that you believe in already, that makes sense to you. So what would stop you of taking the step of becoming a Muslim? Do you know how a person becomes a Muslim? He just states what he believes in. He says, I believe.
Oh, yes.
That's it, you know?
Yes,
that's
yes,
it. So he says, I believe in Allah. Allah is the only true God. And I believe the Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. You become a Muslim. Would you like to do that? It's easy.
Well,
it's a step, you know?
It's a very powerful
I have
argument.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. This statement that you will make of I bear witness that there is no God except Allah, Prophet Muhammad is his messenger, outweighs the heavens and the earth. Do you know why? Because I can give you any amount of money, but you will never give me your prayer prize. You'll never do this. So these prayer prizes that you have are more valuable than any amount of money in the world. You thank the Creator, giving him his rights for giving it to you by saying this statement. It's like me giving you the money, you're thanking this person. We're not thanking anyone. This is the biggest transgression you can make, right? So you, by not saying that God is the only, Allah is the only true God, you're denying him. You're saying, I don't care, you give me all these blessings I have. You gave me evidence that your religion is a true religion, but I'm not going to accept it. But not only that, these words will take you into paradise for sure. If you die upon them, you will go to paradise. But if you make major sins, you don't repent, you will be tortured for them, but you will enter paradise afterwards. Why? Because you didn't deny God. You didn't deny his rights. You gave him his rights. You understand? So you will enter paradise. You know what's waiting for you in paradise?
Something great.
Yeah. Our Prophet Muhammad, he said, in paradise you will have what no eyes have seen, what no ears have heard, and what no mind have imagined.
Something we can't imagine.
Anything. But I will tell you something that is very, very, very unique. The Quran still speaks about things in paradise. You know why? It lets you set aside your imagination. Imagine how this kind will be. Even though you will not know, because it's above your imagination. But imagine. It lets you imagine. Think how these rivers will be, how these gardens will be, how these fruits will be, how all of these kind of things will be. You understand? But not only that, he said anything that you think about, you'll have. You don't even have to ask. You'll have. You will see Allah, which is the source of light. The Quran says Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Imagine seeing the source of beauty, the source of light. Who will not want to see that?
Who wouldn't want to see it?
So
exactly.
Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah.
Take this step, become Muslim. You will not lose anything.
It's a compelling.
I'll tell you something.
It's been such a lovely pleasure to talk to you,
No
and you've
problem.
given me so much to think about and it's lovely. It really is to kind of explore because I see how passionate and how true it is in your heart. I really do.
Hopefully. Hopefully. I try to be, but
Absolutely.
I wanted
see
to ask
that.
you a question. It have to be a serious question. So now after hearing all of this, right, you agreed with me that it's impossible for Prophet Muhammad to know this, right? Do you think you would be a reasonable person to reject that? Why would you? It's good to learn different things, different possibilities, different things. Islam says there's no compulsion in acceptance of religion. But I will always try to invite you to Islam. You know why? Because I want good for you. I want you to have this paradise with me. I don't want to have this paradise alone.
No, absolutely
Yeah.
not. And I understand.
It's not like I'm going to have it alone anyways, but anyways, yeah. So why wouldn't you do that? I'll tell you something. If you want to research, you want to do these kind of things, you make the statement. You say what you believe in, then you research. You're not going to lose anything. If you found out this guy was lying to me, there's nothing like what he said. Leave Islam. That's fine. But I know what I'm telling you is there. You know? So why would you? What would stop you from making a statement that will remove all your sins of the past? That will start you with a clean slate. But not only that, all the good deeds that you did in the past are still there. So you don't have only a clean slate, you have a lot of good deeds there. You're lucky.
Amazing.
You're better than any Muslim who is born a Muslim, because he done bad things in his life. But you, nothing. It will be nothing. Only good things, you know? So what would make you not do that? Say the statement and become Muslim. Enter yourself into a fold of Islam, you know? Into a brotherhood of 2 billion people.
I'm not going to say today.
Yeah,
What's
okay.
your name?
Muhammad, like the Prophet.
Are you like Muhammad?
Yes,
Are you
yeah.
Muhammad? It is a pleasure. Yeah, I
He's
won't forget you. Are you Muhammad too?
1, 2, Muhammad 1, Muhammad 2. Yeah. We always have this, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
You doubt anything? Is that what it is? Maybe something.
I doubt lots of things. I doubt not what you say. What you're saying is beautiful in itself.
Within
It's
Islam,
like-
you doubt certain things that he can maybe clarify to you.
Yeah, in Islam maybe. Any questions? Something.
I need to sit
Next
you
time.
with it. I need to sit you for a week because I have to carry on
Yeah, it's
discussing.
alright.
There's a lot,
It's
isn't
alright.
there? There's a lot.
It's alright. It's alright.
But what you say is beautiful, you know.
Okay.
And yeah,
So-
I
so
certainly do know.
If something
that
makes
there
sense
is
to you,
something
if something
great
makes
in
sense
that.
to you, think
Yeah,
it's
lots
reasonable
make
to you,
sense,
you have to
absolutely.
research it, right? Look, as I told you,
promise
analyze.
Yeah.
Okay, this promise is everything today. I don't want anything else, you know. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure
Thank you,
talking to you.
Mohammed.
Thank you. See you around, yeah? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, bro.
السلام ورحمة الله بارك الله فيك. لينا إن شاء الله. See you later, yeah.
Thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Please support us. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.